What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to yet another video. My name's Dan and it's roughly this week been about 6 months since I bought a bungalow to renovate with a view to turn it into the family forever home. Now, in that 6-month period, there's been a hell of a lot of rework done to the place. We've extensively remodelled the interior to get it to a layout that's going to suit our family, and to do that it's meant that a lot of walls have needed to be knocked down, the odd wall being built. But rather than talk about all these changes, let's get into the video and see what I've been up to over the last 6 months. So obviously knocking down the walls that we needed to do to modify the layout of the property comes with a bit of a downside, and that is the amount of crap that you need to get rid of after you've knocked the wall down. This is the wall that was knocked down from the downstairs toilet, which opened up the one of the bedrooms that is going to become my eldest son's bedroom. And as you can see, nice bit of time-lapse footage of me just zipping back and forth, doing run after run after run after run to the skip that we had waiting outside to get all of the block work and plaster out of the property so that we can start assessing what the state of the floor underneath the carpet was like, to see whether or not we needed to do any remedial work prior to the hardwood flooring going in. Now, as you can see, I've got my little helper. This is my eldest, was very kindly breaking up the big bits of block work to make it easier for Daddy to handle and to get it into the wheelbarrow. Not quite sure he's adhering to the latest health and safety regs regarding PPE, but you try telling a 4-year-old he needs to wear a hard hat and steel toe cap boots. Let me tell you, it didn't go well. We've knocked down a shower that was in the master bedroom. It wasn't exactly an ensuite, it was literally a shower in the bedroom. Never seen anything like it before, but the previous owner was an amputee apparently, so I guess it kind of made sense. Not something we wanted to keep, so out it came. Kind of looked a little bit freaky and dated anyway. As you can see here, I'm doing an excellent job at trying to take down this wall that's dividing the living room and the dining room, so we can open this up into one big living space. It seemed at the time like this was capable of surviving a nuclear blast. My DIY techers were failing me massively, and I just couldn't make any progress at getting this thing ripped down. I very nobly had to leave the responsibility of this to my father-in-law, whilst I went on to find something a little bit more interesting to go and fail at. If one thing can be said, it's how well this property is built. So on New Year's Day, whilst everyone was sat at home eating the leftover food and still nursing the hangover from the night before, I was at the bungalow for about 9 in the morning to get on with this, which is ripping the carpets out, taking out all the underlay, to be able to give us a look at what the state of the floor was like underneath. Obviously we're going for hardwood flooring throughout the property, so I wanted to make sure that all of the concrete underflooring was still in decent condition and didn't need any major patch-ups before we got the guys in to come and fit it. Probably the most labour intensive job as part of this process was getting all of the carpet grippers up. This literally had to be done by hand and a bit of a scraping rod to not only get the grippers up themselves, but to also get the bonding up that came along with them. And as you can see, obviously creates quite a bit of a mess. But again, getting the carpets up and getting these grippers up really does start to transform the look of the property inside. So this is the room that's going to become the home office. Everything is covered up under a big dust sheet at the minute because I was working in here earlier on today. But after work, slapped some white paint on the walls, and yet again it's just made a huge difference to the way that the room looks, the way that the room feels. And I know it sounds kind of daft, but it actually even makes the room feel a little bit warmer. Still obviously got a little bit to go with the painting on the alcove in and around the window, but the way that this room looked this morning versus the way that it looks now, it's a completely different piece. One of the favourite aspects of mine about the whole bungalow renovation has without a doubt been this. it's the painting. Getting paint on the walls has made such a change to the way that the building looks on the inside. I find it dead therapeutic. I've had the tunes on whilst I've been working, and just for me, the whole painting process it's just a measurable act of progression, and it's great to see things really beginning to take shape. I know obviously whilst the initial coat's going on, we're going to need a couple more on top, but the way that the hallway has just been transformed in this little clip from looking like a building site with exposed plaster on the walls to then seeing it with white on the walls all round is just, I mean, for me, it's a great feeling. I enjoyed doing it, and to be honest, I'd quite happily retrain as a painter and decorator, but I just think the way that it transforms the property and starts to make it look like a home as opposed to a building site is just a feeling that you don't really get with any other task. So all the work that we've done on this place, it's not been done alone. We've had our special little helpers come up and help out and muck in with some of the more mundane tasks. For some reason, my eldest, who is absolutely obsessed with Spider-Man, if you can't tell by the onesie, really enjoys cleaning windows down. Now, I can get you his rates if you need your windows cleaning down, but for the time being, he's more than happy coming up here, doing some prep work and keeping things ticking along nicely. Even running to get the milk for the cup of tea every now and again. I'm not going to lie, when I first took on this project, I was actually quite against it. It was something that was being pushed more by my wife than me necessarily, and I was so against it because all I saw was a really old shell of a building. I didn't appreciate the amount of work that would need to go into it to actually get it to a point where it's livable, and I just doubted myself really in having the capability and even the time to be able to invest in the place to turn it from what was a really old dated property into something that was new and modern. But with that being said, the more work I've put into it and the more I've seen it change from a really old dated place to something that looks a lot more modern, the more I can see myself living there. And I'm now at the stage where I'm actually really excited to get into the place. I'm hoping by the point that this video gets onto YouTube, the hardwood flooring will have been installed throughout the whole property, which means that it will be in a livable state, well, for me at least anyway, because I'm going to move in, and by doing that is going to give me more time to get things done in the evening. What I'm currently doing is I'm going to work for my day job, I'm leaving work, and then I'm going to the bungalow in the evening to start working on getting various jobs done there. The downside to that is obviously you lose quite a lot of time travelling between places, but it also makes it quite difficult, you know, getting dinner sorted in the evenings and eating at a sensible time. So by moving in, once the flooring's sorted out, hopefully progress on the bungalow will accelerate, and it won't be much longer before the wife and kids can move in. Obviously they can't move in at the minute because the kitchen has been ripped out and is technically still a bit of a building site, but there's going to be enough creature comforts there to keep me comfortable. There's going to be the coffee machine, which I've not used in months and just have not been able to enjoy a proper cup of coffee since we moved out of the last place. There's obviously going to be the laptops, and there's going to be the camera so that the channel can keep ticking along, and I can obviously document the progress and the no doubt mistakes that will be made along the way. Speaking of mistakes, up to now, don't get me wrong, I've made loads, but rather than try and kick myself about it, I'm going to try and learn from them and hopefully won't make the same one twice. This project has been a massive undertaking for me, especially. I've never done a renovation project before, and the limit of my DIY techers before buying this place was literally building flat pack furniture, and even that at times was a little bit tricky. As you can see, I've struggled at even doing the most simplest of destruction jobs here. I've tried knocking walls down. To be fair, there's one thing I can say about this place is whoever did all of the work previously did it to a really, really good standard, because some of the stuff has just felt like it's been impossible to destroy, which I guess is a good thing when you're living in it, but when you're trying to rip stuff down, it does become quite tricky and a little bit demoralising at times as well. But like I said, hopefully by the time this video is up on YouTube, I'll have moved myself into the property and can really get started on turning it into our forever home. So there's going to be a lot of home improvements videos coming to the channel in the coming months and probably years. Because if there's one thing I know about my wife, she'll get one thing finished and then we'll live with it for 6 months and she'll want to change her mind and change it around again. So if you want some DIY tips, definitely some DIY do's and don'ts, and the occasional blooper and mistake that's going to get documented along the way, then make sure you hit that subscribe button, bell for notifications, and until next time, hopefully it will be from the office in the new place. I'll see you then.